stage that we're going to look at is a particular process that we can use when we want to coach our students. And I guess using a process takes us from having a conversation with anyone really to actually getting an end result in this conversation. And my favorite model that I like to use is what I've already mentioned, a model called GROW. So what I'm going to do is just take us through the 4 different areas of GROW, and then we'll actually have a go at practicing and thinking about the specific questions that would relate to it. So in this coaching conversation using GROW, the first thing that we need to do is identify what the goal is. So help the students that we're having a conversation with really picture, what is it that I want to achieve? And how will I know when I've gotten there? Why do I want this? Why is this important for me? And the more we can create this picture where a student can be very clear as to what it is that they want, then the easier it will be for them to follow it. Sometimes we might also find that a student will come up to us with one particular goal and then realize that actually that's not what they wanted. I remember I was coaching a guy who joined as head of strategy at the BBC. That's where I learned my kind of coaching. I used to work for the BBC as a psychologist, and he came up to me and he said, right, I need to come up with this document. It's a policy on our strategy, and I need to present it to the rest of my peers by next week. That's my goal. And can we explore this? And I was like, so what makes this important for you? Why is it that you want to create this document? And as the conversation went along, he kind of said, well, what's really important for me is that I establish myself with my peers, I do something that's seen that shows that I've done something and made the change immediately, I want to impress my peers. And that's talking, and then he stopped, he's like, oh, actually, now that I think about it, that's my goal. I want to build relationships and impress others rather than have a strategy document, which in fact then took us away from the strategy document into how do you build relationships.
Can I just say something? Mark will probably back this up being a successful businessman, is that fear of failure is something that probably needs to be programmed out of the students. It's okay to fail. And being in environments in which people are allowed to fail, I think is quite important. So I just saw something I wanted to say there, so that's quite important, personally.
And I guess it's also the fear of failure might sometimes stop us from actually trying. So even though I want to get there, sometimes I might not do anything about it because I think actually I'm not going to manage. And we'll explore that in the next stage, in the reality. Okay, so this is what you want to get. What's going on at the moment? Who's involved? What's stopping you? What's helping you? What are the skills that will help you get there? What are the skills that you're going to need to get there? Who else might help you with this? And also, what are your thoughts and your beliefs about this particular goal? So, when we move on to the reality, once we've got that goal really honed down, then this is where we get nosy. And we ask a lot of questions about what's going on right now. What's the reality for this particular individual? And earlier we talked about coaching as being something that raises awareness. And this bit, this stage, the reality, is what would really help someone become aware as to exactly what is this that's going on, what's holding them back, and what kind of thoughts and beliefs aren't serving them well, and how they need to be replaced. So far, we've had our students create a really clear idea about what it is that they want to get. They now also know where they are. This is what's going on at the moment. This is the gap. So the next stage, the options stage, is where we brainstorm ideas about possibilities. Now over here, we're not committing to any action, we're just brainstorming ideas. So quantity versus quality. And we need to ask questions that helps them look at the situation from different points of view. So one of my favorite questions is questions such as, who do you think does this really well? So what would they do in this situation? If you had a friend who was in the same scenario, what advice would you give them? The point here is to get people kind of using different areas of their brain and looking at things from different perspectives. Chances are, when the first time we ask a question about, so what will you do about it, we'll get answers that people have already thought about. want someone to give us the answer, or we don't really want to think so hard about it. But by actually pressing the person and continuing to ask, what else could you do? Look at it from this angle or this angle, we might get them to uncover something new, a different idea that they haven't thought about before. We also need to then take action. So out of all these ideas that we've looked at and the impact that they could have, what are you going to do? What specifically are you going to act upon? When are you going to do it? At what time? What's the first step? And the more specific we can make that, the more likely someone's going to take that action. It's almost like saying, I'm going to save money this month, versus I will save £200 from my paycheck and I will put it into a different bank account as soon as the money goes in. There's more chance of me doing that than